Rick, good morning, man. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Keith. How's New York?
It was great. I went there a few years ago. It's fantastic. When I say few, I mean I like 15. It's fantastic. Man, dude, I like the shirt. Is that linen?
Yeah, boy, good eye.
Oh,
I'm hoping that the camera isn't that revealing to our guests. I don't want to frighten anyone.
no, you look fantastic, man. Like you really do. I love the glasses, man. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, well, got to keep up with you, buddy, and I can't. So this is the closest hit I can do.
I love it, man. So let's get right into it, man. So today's topic is accept it, accept this moment as if you chose it. And
Oh,
this is inspired by Eckhart Tolle. And I thought I had been doing that with my practice, that I had been accepting moments as if I'd chosen them. And what Eckhart said in one of the podcasts was to think of an experience that you didn't like, and were you accepting it as if you chose it? And so I had to think hard because I really, really do it. But it turns out I didn't have to think that hard. I actually found a moment, and there's this weekly meeting that I attend every week. It's a required meeting, and when I'm in the meeting, of all the meetings I do through undergraduate school, through grad school, I've sat through some lectures that my ego has said is boring, and I've been able to stay awake and attentive to it. But for whatever reason, this particular meeting, I am like saying to myself, this is so boring. And I come into the meeting with like the best of intentions. Okay, I'm going to be awake here. Like trying to like willpower my way through it. I'm going to be attentive. And like 5 minutes in, man, my eyes are heavy. Like I'm struggling to get through it. And what I realized is that I wasn't accepting the meeting as if I chose it. And what I mean by that is mentally I was doing it, but my behavior, my way of being was not doing that. It was not consistent with what I said I was setting out to do. And so I thought of like, okay, when I'm accepting something as if I chose it, how am I showing up for that? And one of the things that I do is I'm grateful. So I started to think about all the time and energy that the facilitator and the leader of the meeting put into it, because she's very prepared, she's organized. This leader comes in with a positive attitude. She's bubbly. She tries to think of things that we can do in terms of breakout sessions to keep us engaged and connected. She just does a lot of work. And then everyone who's there, they give a report on what they're doing with their particular initiative or their task. And they are very detailed. You can tell they put the work in. They go to great lengths to try to make a meaningful contribution to Mayo Clinic. And it's just really fantastic. So once I noticed that I had the capacity to choose to show up a completely different way, to where my entire being was aligned with accepting this moment as if I chose it, I started to have a completely different relationship with it. And if my ego kind of crept back in and said, you're fading, Keith, you're not going to make it, then I would just look in somebody's eyes virtually and just notice their smile. And as they're talking, giving them my kind attention. And so it really changed everything for me when I began to accept. I'm working to accept everything as if I chose it. I've been really good about accepting this Arizona heat and this sun. That's been an incredible practice. Canceled flights, delayed flights, hotel rooms not being what I booked. I've been really good about that. There's this one little area here that I just recently noticed that needed work, and that advice of truly accepting it with all of my being as if I chose it has really paid off.
Boy, that's an interesting pathway that you've found. And it's interesting also that you've been able to isolate something that's been hanging you up, this meeting, and not being fully present for it, and realizing that you wanted something else, right? That's the point. You didn't want to be in the meeting, you wanted something else for your life. And I thought you used a really great word, a revealing word about your topic today, which was capacity. I think you said something along the lines of, I didn't think I had the capacity to really want to be there, or to accept it, or to not be bored. And I think capacity is a very interesting idea because it's tied up with our willingness to do whatever we want to do, but also our willingness to do that which is difficult, or that which requires some discomfort. And when you look at what discomfort is, all it is, it's sort of it's a dilemma that's caused by you wanting something to be a certain way, and the circumstances are not that way. And so again, that's the root cause of suffering. So maybe part of what you experience is that, when you're bored, you're suffering, right? I mean, that's something that you're putting on yourself. So why not head that off and say, okay, here's another choice. And the choice is, I like this meeting. And as you pointed out, you can find things to like about it: the preparation of the speaker, the smiles of the colleagues who are in the meeting, the room, whatever, the fact that you're symptom free and healthy. I
Yes.
think that this sounds magical, but I think it's true. And that is that if you are dealing with something that's a little difficult, try saying to yourself, oh, this is what I picked. This is my choice.
Mhm.
We have an odd way of looking at life as humans. We have all of this excitement and all of this anticipation for what the unknown is. We really look at something that we want hard, and we desire it, we covet it. If it's a Tesla, if it's a house, if it's a new love. But once we get it, human nature, always buyer's remorse. There's always a pang about it. I spent too much money. I like my old girlfriend better. This one does something different that I don't like, which is totally ego and foolish. But my illustration is just to say there's a pre-choice and a post-choice situation. And if you can master both by doing the same thing, which is simply to experience the choice and accept whatever that choice has been without trying to tweak it, mess with it, just accept it, see what happens. Just try it, just see what happens.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. And if there's something to improve upon it, in that particular choice, then do so without any attachment of what the outcome may be. It's something I've also learned. So in this particular meeting, maybe there was something that I had an idea that would be a different kind of icebreaker to keep everybody engaged. But if I presented that idea to the facilitator and they said, "Thank you for the suggestion, but we're going to stick with the same format," then I accept that too, as if I've chosen it. So while I'm in the process of accepting and practicing acceptance, if I'm coming from a very peaceful place, making a choice or in taking intelligent action, if that outcome doesn't, if it's not the outcome that I set out to create, then the practice become accepting that, accepting the no. And that's great too. And here's when you haven't accepted the no, the suffering follows. If you've accepted the no, then there's no suffering. And and there's been some things that it's taken me, as I've continued with the practice and remain consistent with it on a daily basis, new things that have crept up have challenged me, and that's only because the ego wants it to be different. And one of those is aging. Oh yeah, the aging's crept up on me, man. It's like and like my body, I got plantar fasciitis, like all this gray in my goatee. And I was like dying it for a while, and this started hitting in like my 30s, and I was kind of resisting it. And which is fine, if I want to color it, but have no attachment to coloring it. If I want to get cosmetic surgery, that's fine too, as long as I'm not identified with my looks or something like that. Like that's not who I am. And that could be kind of tricky. But for me, fortunately, I've had some amazing people that I am inspired by that are a little bit older than me, and they've showed me how they've done it with grace and acceptance. And a lot of them too, they had the same struggle, but their practice expanded and deepened, and they've handled it really, really well. And it's just like anything else, man, in this life that we're experiencing as humans. The time is going to pass anyway. So you can spend it resisting the aging process, or and suffer all the way through obsessing about how to stay looking younger, or you can accept it, take care of yourself the best way that you can. And the latter is filled with a lot of joy along the way, and the other is filled with a lot of suffering, but it's completely up to you. And there's been acceptance with illness. There's some people that have accepted illness really well, and there's been others who struggle through it. So my job with wherever the other person is just to hold space and be compassionate. And regarding myself, just really stay committed to my practice so that acceptance just becomes easier. So I minimize the suffering in my life and I experience a whole lot more joy.
And don't you feel like it's an exercise in positivity and joy when you're in a situation like a bad meeting, to choose it and then find something good in it?
100%.
That process is something we don't like to go through. We want to have chocolate cake and the chocolate frosting. We don't want to have something that's undone. But there's always something that you can find in an undone cake to like. There's always something. And that very process, the very act of choosing something that maybe isn't optimal, causes you to come up with things that that you like, that you find are interesting, or at least maybe provide a lesson or something that's of value to you. I want to, there's a quote from Lao Tzu that I really like about this. It's along the lines of being content with what you have. And by that, I mean choosing what you have. And let me read it for you. I think it might help some folks out there. This is again Lao Tzu. And he says, be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, let me say that again. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
That's fantastic, man. Wow. And that's how I feel, man. I feel free.
Yeah.
I feel peaceful. Wow. You know, back to the word capacity, my capacity to love.
There you go.
Expands, man, when I feel like that. Wow, man, read that one more time for me.
I think I lost the page.
God, that was beautiful, though.
I'll read the whole thing again. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. When you realize there's nothing lacking, the whole world opens up and it belongs to you.
Wow. Let's end there. Let's end. Rick, thank you for a great show, man. I love you.
I love you too, Keith. Great pick on the show. It's really important to discuss these things. And I'm glad you're dealing with these issues in a way that's so open and vulnerable and so helpful to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.